Okay, let's dive into something absolutely essential for every single Yamaha owner out there. We're going to talk about a small, pretty inexpensive part that, believe it or not, holds the power to either make or completely break your day out on the water. Yeah, we're talking about the fuel filter.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there, or at least we've all dreaded it. The sun's out, the engine's just purring along perfectly, and then it's not. That sudden cough and sputter can just ruin everything, and honestly, more often than not, the culprit is something surprisingly simple and, get this, totally preventable.
So to really hammer home why this matters so much, let me tell you a little story, a cautionary tale about my neighbor, Mike. His experience perfectly captures the huge difference between being proactive with your maintenance versus, well, reactive panic.
$450. Ouch! That was the bill Mike got for the tow after he got stranded 5 miles offshore. His Yamaha F200 just sputtered and died, leaving him and his whole family just stuck. What started as a perfect day turned into a super frustrating and very expensive ordeal.
And what was the reason for all this mess? A single neglected fuel filter. His 10-micron separator was way past its recommended 50-hour replacement interval. When we finally got it open, it was a total horror show, just clogged solid with water in this thick, nasty brown sludge.
And believe it or not, that tow bill wasn't even the worst-case scenario. This number, this is the potential cost he was staring down. If he had kept trying to crank it and forced the engine to run, all that gunk could have been pushed into the high-pressure fuel pump and injectors. And that, my friends, is a catastrophic failure with a repair bill that can easily top $1,500.
You know, when you lay it all out like this, the choice couldn't be more obvious. On one side, you've got a simple $25 filter change that you can knock out during routine maintenance. On the other, you're looking at a $450 tow, a completely ruined day, and the very real risk of some majorly expensive engine damage. It's a no-brainer.
All right, let's shift gears and talk about the solution, because Yamaha has actually designed this brilliant defense system to prevent this exact scenario. And it's not just one filter. Think of it like a layered security team that's protecting your engine.
But before we meet the bodyguards, let's meet the villains they're up against every single day. You've got rust from old tanks, water from humid air and condensation, and that nasty sludge that can form from ethanol-blended fuels. They're constantly trying to invade your engine.
And this is how your Yamaha fights back. It uses this really sophisticated multi-stage filtration system. The best way to think about it is like a series of security checkpoints. The first one, that big 10-micron filter, gets all the big stuff. Then the primary filter on the engine catches anything that might have slipped by. And finally, the VST filter and those tiny injector screens, they protect the most delicate, high-precision parts from the absolute tiniest particles.
Now, here's the best part. You can personally manage the most critical piece of this whole defense system. And trust me, it's way easier than you probably think. Taking control of this one simple job is just incredibly empowering.
Okay, first things first, let's get our gear ready. You do not need a professional workshop for this. Just having these few simple items on hand, and you probably already have most of them, makes the job quick, clean, and totally painless.
So this is the filter you'll be changing most often, and it is super straightforward. Just place a pan underneath to catch any drips, unscrew the old filter, and wipe that mounting surface clean. Now here's a key pro tip. Always apply a little bit of clean oil to the new gasket. That ensures a perfect seal and prevents any leaks. Screw the new one on, give it that final little turn, reconnect the sensor, prime the system, and boom, you're done.
But, and this is important, it's also about knowing your limits. While changing that main filter is an easy DIY job, those internal VST filters and the tiny little injector screens, that's a whole different story. The risk of damaging those delicate and really expensive parts is high, so that kind of work is definitely best left to a certified technician.
So now that you know the what and the how, let's really level up your game with some pro-level strategies for total fuel system health. This is where you go from just replacing parts to truly managing the long-term life of your engine.
Yamaha gives us this fantastic factory-recommended schedule, which is a great starting point. The general rule of thumb is to replace that main 10-micron filter every 50 hours, the primary on-engine filter at 100 hours, and get that internal VST filter serviced around the 300-hour mark. But you gotta remember, these are just baselines, because where you do your boating matters a lot. If you're running in harsh saltwater or super high humidity areas, you're just constantly battling more water getting into your system. And that means you should probably cut those replacement intervals in half, especially for that main water separating filter. Okay, let's talk about the parts themselves. Look, Yamaha OEM filters are always the safest bet. They're designed for your engine, they protect your warranty, no question. But high-quality aftermarket options do exist, and they can save you a few bucks. The key, and I can't stress this enough, is to do your homework. Buy from a reputable brand and avoid those bargain basement deals.
All right, so let's boil all this down to a simple pro playbook. 4 habits that are going to keep your fuel system happy and healthy. Stick to those service intervals. Get in the habit of just checking your separator bowl for water. Always use good fuel with a stabilizer, and oh man, this one is huge. Always keep a spare filter on the boat. It's the cheapest insurance policy you can possibly buy.
So at the end of the day, it's really about a shift in how you look at these things. Stop thinking of them as cheap, disposable parts you have to replace. Start thinking of them as the dedicated guardians standing between your clean, powerful engine and a world of junk that wants to destroy it.
And that's really what it all comes down to, isn't it? When you weigh the tiny cost and effort against the huge expense, the frustration, and the potential danger of getting stranded, well, the answer becomes crystal clear.